Hey there everybody, Mazarok here, and today I want to talk about the Mythic Lockout system for raiding, and an idea that I kind of have. It was talked about a little bit between the Ian and Max interview, and it's something that I would like to kind of put my opinion out there and talk about and see what you guys think as well. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. We are just barreling towards 4K subs. Thank you so much. Flabbergasted by all the support. There is a Twitch link down below if you wish to watch me stream. There's a current sub goal to have me in a Charmander onesie for a stream, so if that's something that would be interesting to you, go on by, check that out. There's a Discord link if you want to continue this conversation forward, filled with absolutely amazing people I am just thankful to have in my life. And well, lastly, Patreon. There's a Patreon link down below if you wish to support me directly. Now, let's get into the meat of it. So, what I'm talking about in particular is the Mythic Lockout, where when you join a Mythic Raid, you are instantly locked to that group. You cannot join another Mythic Raid. It won't even allow you into the raid. That's the thing I'm talking about in particular. And we're going to go over some pros and cons. Mainly, the pros is once you join a group, if maybe they're struggling a little bit or they're trying to work towards, like, you know, they're progging a little bit or they're having an off night, pugs can't just, or can, but are incentivized to not just bolt and screw people over and, you know, have to, you know, find a new pug and things like that. Ian did say that Mythic raiding should not be, or the idea for Mythic raiding is not that it is a puggable thing, right? Now, sometimes you have to. Roster boss kills us all. And sometimes, you know, you think you have 20 for the night, something happens, you're down a DPS, you're down whatever, and you're forced to pug. That's just going to happen from time to time. It's, you know, human nature and the nature of dealing with people. I understand the incentivization for this. The con is, if you're not starting a fresh Mythic run, and you have to pug something within, you know, on boss 4 or boss 5, there is a much higher likelihood that you're just going to end up calling the raid, because no one is even going to apply most of the time. And sometimes when they apply, it's not what you want or need at all, right? Like, you might have enough hunters in your group, you might have enough shamans, you might just have too much of a class, and your only applicant in an hour is that exact class or spec, and maybe you need a paladin, maybe you need a warrior for the buff, or you're trying to find some other way to fill up your comp, but literally no one's applying. We have literally, as a guild, started, you know, alright, crap. This guy's internet conked out an hour ago. We don't know if we're getting him in. We're going to have to pug. We're on boss 4. You sit there for an hour and joke around and call the raid, and it ends up being a gigantic waste of time. And this Mythic Lockout hurts guilds that are trying to get into Mythic, or that are trying to get in and prog Mythic as a group, and, you know, really kind of get those beginner stages going. Now, there does have a place for it. In my opinion, I honestly believe at the start of a tier, that Mythic Lockout should be in place. It incentivizes people to play with guilds and within your guild and the communities that you kind of play in and form those strong bonds. Absolutely, it should be in place. And on top of, you know, the race to world first and all that fun stuff, the Mythic Lockout is obviously a good thing to have in. But once Hall of Fame is reached, get rid of it. Make it like the Heroic Lockout, right? Allow people to pug in and out. Because what happens is maybe a very experienced Mythic player had something going on that night and they couldn't make their raid night, right? It just, you know, it happens. Power got knocked out, you know, life plans, social plans, whatever. Something that they had planned on for a while and they can't make it. And hey, they want to pug the early bosses to, you know, complete what they missed with the raid. And that way, guilds that are kind of in that first stages could actually get more experienced players coming in and helping them out and going, you know, being like, hey, you know, this is the strategy we kind of use here. We could swap here. Oh, I see the problem here. That does happen. And it's happened to me. I've seen it happen where someone has plugged into our raid that was 10 out of 10, 11 out of 11 or whatever, and was like, and helped us prog through by, you know, going through a couple of problem aspects with us and helping us get through it. But the only reason that happened was because he missed both raid nights, right? He just literally could not raid with his guild that day, those 2 days, and so he ended up pugging. But what happens if they're able to get into the back half, and the back half has the better loot, so they're just going to skip the first half? It just doesn't really make sense to me. And once the Hall of Fame is done, removing that lockout could really help guilds that are in the beginner stages of trying to get into Mythic and just suffering through roster boss issues, because if anyone has ever tried to raid Mythic, the roster boss is honestly the hardest part about Mythic raiding. And this could, just removing that lockout could alleviate a lot of problems. Why, yeah, like, you know, of course pugs are not as incentivized to stay, but it's also going to incentivize pugs to actually join. You know, like I said earlier, if you try and pug a 4th or 5th boss, 6th boss in a raid, there's a very good chance you're just going to sit there for an hour and just nothing's going to happen. And you're just going to be like, all right, oh, it's called, okay, let's go do keys, guys. And that sucks because these guilds, and I know there's a lot of them, want to raid, but are literally can't because of a system that's designed to keep people within communities. Right? It's counterintuitive, and it backfires on them. Where I think it is a very useful system in the first portions of the Mythic Raid, and I think should absolutely still be implemented. Once the Hall of Fame is done, why not remove it? Let people get in and prog and reach out and find new people, right? And, you know, work around and pug if they have to. You know, obviously incentivize people to stay within their little Mythic group, but at the same time, incentivize them to go out and meet new people as well. This is a social game. Pugging is gonna happen. Keys, raid, whatever you name it, it's gonna happen. Why not make that a little bit easier? Anyway, that's just my thought on it. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your comments down in the section below. I am streaming beta and keys pretty much all weekend. Come on by, check that out. I would love to see you guys there. And a big thanks to all of my patrons. Have yourselves a good one, guys, and happy tanking.